Mayfield underneath center. On first down, takes the ball, gives the ball a cutback by Chubb. He's to the 10. He's still running to the 5. He dips outside left. He's going in. Touchdown. What a run. Nick Chubb.
Well, the play was designed to go to the right. They got a good push over there. All of a sudden, he saw the cutback, and he took it in.
14-yard run. There were 4 missed tackles by the Ravens on Nick Chubb as he takes it in. Mayfield gets motion from one of the tight ends, takes the snap, gives. Chubb runs to the left, bangs it to the outside. He dives for the goal line. Touchdown, Nick Chubb, his second of the day.
He dipped like he was going to go off left guard. He bounced it to the outside and got the touchdown.
Beckham goes wide left, Ratley to the right. Now it's 1st and 15, and they're back at their 12. Mayfield with Chubb behind him. Mayfield under center on first down. Toss sweep, near side. Here comes Chubb with a cutback. He's out to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Here he goes to the 50. Here goes Chubb. He's going to go. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nick Chubb. He's got a hat trick.
What was the problem with the penalty?
Wow, 88 yards by Chubb.
That gives him 162 on the afternoon.
9:35 left to go. Nick Chubb takes the air out of this stadium.
It was noisy.
And this booth.
Takes the air out of the stadium. My goodness, did he ever. Nick Chubb kicking them dirty Ravens to the curb. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of Talking Sports, Stuff, and Things with Chuck. I am your host, ironically, Chuck, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, home of your first place Cleveland Browns. That's right, first place Cleveland Browns. You can roll your eyes, you can, wrinkle your nose up, only played this many games. Say whatever you want. First place Cleveland Browns. Just the facts over here, folks. Just the facts. Speaking of facts, get to those real quick. As always, please come and see me on my website, chucktalksalot.com. chucktalksalot.com. Please check it out. You can get on there, subscribe to the podcast and all the platforms that are available. Also, Twitter, at Chuck Talks a Lot. Facebook, Talking Sports Stuff and Things with Chuck. Come check me out. Get at me with whatever you want to get at me. Your takes. Tell me I'm wrong, right, whatever. But anyway, all that out of the way, guess what? Browns win, baby. Browns win, first place. What a game. It was exactly what I needed and what Browns fans needed. It was just fantastic to see. To see the team really get back to the 2018 Cleveland Browns, which meant the play calling, the setup of the plays, Baker Mayfield looking like he did in 2018 again. A lot had to do with the scheme and the strategy you came into this game with. It wasn't just everybody go deep, Baker drop back 7 steps, and let's hope we figure it out. No, you put Baker and the offense in a position to win and succeed in this game. You realized early on that the Ravens were not going to let Odell Beckham do anything. You watch that game, they were all over him. They weren't letting him do anything. So guess what? We took what they gave us, which was Ricky Seals-Jones, which was Jarvis Landry. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jarvis Landry, a guy who I love. I'm just an absolute huge fan of Jarvis Landry, was since we got him. Not only from what the guy does on the field, he doesn't get credit for how good he is. He gets overlooked when people talk about good receivers, but just the attitude he brings, everything about the guy, he's great. Well, you know what else is great is when we did get him, a lot of people used to tell me all that guy does is catch 3-yard passes. That's all he does, 3-yard passes. Yeah, I don't know if anybody watched the game yesterday. Sunday. It was far from that. I don't have the stats in front of me. 8 catches, 140, 160 yards, whatever it was. Ridiculous, amazing. They were not going to let Odell Beckham beat him. The Ravens weren't, so that's fine. Jarvis Landry can beat you. Ricky Seals-Jones can beat you. Oh, and who else could beat you? Who else on that team's good other than Baker and the guys he's thrown to? Oh, that's right. The guy that I just played there in the intro, Nick Chubb. Absolute monster. Guy's on his way to becoming the best running back in the league. And I'll put that up against anything you want. I mean, I know people are going to throw people at me, Gurley and Kamara and all. That's fine. I hear you. If Nick Chubb would have got to play all year last year, he already be in that conversation. But since he had to, basically put up 1,000 yards in 10 games, since he barely got the ball before that, he's well on his way. And this offense is going to start playing like it did last week. This is going to be the scheme we're going to stick with. This guy is a monster. He has 2 of the longest runs in Browns history. It's his second year. The guy is just 1 foot in the ground, cut and go. And not only is he big and powerful, run you over, stiff-armed guys. No one can catch this guy. When he has the ball in his hands, he looks like the fastest guy on the field. He does not get caught from behind. Earl Thomas quit running, and when asked about it after the game, he said, I didn't want to risk pulling my hamstring. Are you serious? You're a safety, you can't catch a 230-some-odd pound running back? And not even, you just gave up. Gave up. You know why you gave up? Is because you didn't want to look at how sad it was going to be when he just continued to pull away from you. By the way, he basically cracked 22 miles an hour, fastest running play for a touchdown this year in the NFL. Cracked 22 miles an hour, and for those of you who haven't seen it, if you want to check that play, and the picture's been going around on social media, I know I posted it. It's one of my favorite pictures of all time already, even though it just came out. The picture of Nick Chubb running up the sideline, but as you notice off in the background there, Baker Mayfield streaming up the field with his arms out like as if he's an airplane, chasing down Nick Chubb to the end zone, which, by the way, Baker Mayfield made it to almost 19 miles an hour while he was sprinting up the field to catch Nick Chubb. And for those people who like numbers like I do sometimes, that was faster than Earl Thomas made it on that play himself. So just to put that out there, we run faster in celebration than some guys do just trying to actually make a tackle. So just fantastic to see. I'm sure you've probably already heard enough of it with it being 2 days removed. I don't really care. You're going to hear more of it here. I love the Cleveland Browns, as we all know, and this was what we needed. So here we are in first place, 2-2. Speaking of that, no, you know what? We'll move on. Before I just move on too far and not give credit where it is due, because I do get stuck on the offense because I just like Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb so much, and Jarvis Landry and so on, Odell. The Browns' defense is absolutely a monster, and it's only going to grow into a bigger monster. Ranked 10th going into the game this week. A lot of that had to do with that unfortunate fourth quarter we gave up against Tennessee. If it wasn't for that, just dropping the ball there, they'd be even higher. But regardless, you watch this. Coming into this game, all of a sudden it was all about the Ravens. This whole week, the buildup was all Ravens. It was all about Lamar Jackson's the quarterback of the future. This is it. This is the Ravens division to take. And it was just Lamar, Lamar, Lamar. Everyone building this guy up, He looks so great. How did he look against the Browns? I think at halftime he had 37 yards passing. Would have ended up, his numbers ended up looking somewhat decent because of your typical garbage time. Last 5 minutes of the game, the defense plays off and they rack up these useless garbage yards, and they also got that terrible touchdown. So it really should have been 40-18, but unfortunately the points count when you get them, so they got them. But I just found it interesting that the whole talk leading up to that game was Lamar Jackson. Oh my gosh, he looks so great. They don't bring up the fact that he looks so great against the Dolphins and the Cardinals, which are the only two teams that the Ravens have beat so far. Neither of those teams have a win, by the way. They haven't won a game yet. But, oh my gosh, Lamar Jackson threw 5 touchdowns against the Dolphins. Wow, that's great. I could probably throw at least one against the Dolphins. They're super terrible. Cardinals are right there with them. These teams are bad. They played one decent team. It was the Chiefs. Guess what? They lost. And the Chiefs' defense is like 25th in the league. So even when they did put up some numbers against the Chiefs, it's against a terrible defense. Everyone just thinks the Chiefs are great all the way around because of Patrick Mahomes. Nope, just their offense is great because of Patrick Mahomes. So then they stepped up against another good team. And what happened? They got boot stomped. Amazing. And then poof, it all just goes away. I don't hear anybody talking about the Ravens anymore being just the monsters of the division, but yet I don't hear anyone talking about the Browns then taking that spot after coming in there and just stomping them. Whereas, the Browns basically took the Rams, the best team in the league, one of the best teams in the league last year, down to the last play of the game. I'm not trying to give them, they lost, and the Browns lost, and I'm not, trying to say they didn't, but that loss is a little bit, more I'd almost take that. It's never mind. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. I'm going to leave that alone. But so anyway, what I'm getting at is I find it funny how the Ravens were the next coming of the next great team, and then once they lose to the Browns, they just move on. Oh, let's just keep talking about the Chiefs. Never mind. Never mind. Let's talk about the Chiefs. Yeah, let's just talk about the Chiefs. I mean, ESPN comes out with its power rankings today. I first saw it, and I almost didn't even finish looking at it because I just looked at the top 10, which was what was on the opening page without opening up the article, and they had the Ravens at number 10. And I didn't see the Browns in the top 9, which I thought was interesting. So, okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and scroll through then, finally. I had to humor myself. And they had the Browns at 17. So, the Ravens, who they had at 6 last week, they drop them to 10. The Browns were at 20. They move them up to 17. So, the Browns come in and stomp this team that you had as the 6th best team in your power rankings, and you only move them up to 17. That's fine. I mean, look, that's fine. I get it. I guess they did just lose. I know they haven't looked the greatest. They've looked questionable. That's fine. I mean, just got to do it again now. Now, we got to do it when we go out to the Bay Area, go out here to San Francisco, I should say, and, play the 49ers. That's fine. So we'll have to get at it. But I just find, I know power rankings in the grand scheme of things mean less than nothing. I mean, they literally mean nothing. It's a terrible, schematic to even look at. Like, it is a waste. But if you're going to do it, at least do it somewhat right. I mean, my goodness. I just found that absolutely terrible. So then I went and looked at NFL.com's power rankings because then they had me intrigued. I had to at least look at theirs. They had the Browns, I believe, at 16, but they had the Ravens at least at like 18, something like that. So it was made a little bit more sense. Even though I think the Browns are better than a couple other teams there, but they got to prove it. I mean, look, the Niners are one team that is ranked ahead of them. Well, then go beat them. Go beat them. Do what you just did and do it again. Again, can't say enough about the defense. The Browns' defense is absolutely lights out, and they're doing this with, they haven't had their starting secondary for several games. I mean, they did that to the Rams with missing 8 starters, I believe the number was altogether, including your entire secondary. Your starting safety, 2 starting corners, come on. You still played like that against the Rams? Now here we are against the Ravens. We still didn't have our 2 starting corners. So Lamar, greatest quarterback alive, Jackson, couldn't do anything even against the team down its 2 starting corners. Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams out. Demarius Randall finally first game back off the concussion protocol. But my goodness, I figure with Lamar, him being the up and coming greatest thing we've ever seen, and Baker Mayfield just overrated. I thought for sure we're going to see the opposite of what we saw. I mean, I can't imagine how an overrated player threw for 342 yards and a touchdown and led an offense to 40-point win, or 40 points. Not 40-point win. That would have been even better, but it felt like we won by a million, quite honestly, because we just whooped them the whole game, and that was fabulous. So, again, I'll leave that alone. We'll move on to Monday night now, which, speaking of playing on Monday night, thought I would love having these primetime games because, look, it's been a while. The Cleveland Browns haven't had a lot of primetime games. We all know that they haven't and why. But now that they have them, I was all pumped about it. I was at the Sunday night game against the Rams. I know I haven't done a podcast since that game, and I do apologize. It wasn't because we lost. I got no problem coming on here and talking when we lose, but just life got in the way a little bit last week. But, hey, we're back now. So, you got to go into Monday night. Anyway, these night games, I was at the Sunday night game. I thought it was great, but then, getting out of the stadium, getting home, my goodness, that's a task, getting home so late and what have you. And then, here we go Monday night. I'm going to wake up Sunday, and you wake up Sunday and, I can't, yes, it's finally Sunday here for time for NFL football. My favorite thing. All right, I can't wait. And then not only do I have to wait all day, all night until the next day, I have to wait till all the way through the day till the night, Monday night. It's kind of brutal, to be honest with you. I guess maybe I got just used to playing Sunday at 1 since that's what we've done for the past however many years. 98% of our games have been that. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'll get used to it now since we are America's team and we're going to be playing on a lot of primetime games. Maybe I'll just get used to it. We'll see. I'll adapt. I think I'm going to survive and adapt. That's what I'm going to shoot for. So I'll give it my best and try that. So we'll see. But anyway, Monday night, on to San Francisco, looking for another big win to keep this thing rolling. Let's keep this train rolling. The schedule doesn't get any easier here. You got Seattle, you got the Patriots. We got some work to do before we can, get into the bye week and get into that second half of the schedule where it's obviously going to be a little bit more favorable for the Browns. So we'll get to that. So anyway, go Brownies, big win. Now move on to some sadder news. Some little bit a little more depressing, but it's got to be said. It's got to be done. Like I said, I'm not afraid to talk about the good or the bad. The Tribe is finally done. They finally ran out of fight. They finally ran out of just the willpower to just keep winning despite everybody going down. I mean, you really thought we were going to pull off the magic out of nowhere when Jose Ramirez came back early. Nobody thought we were going to see that guy until we made it to the ALCS, if we were lucky enough to do so. Guy comes back, first 2 swings, a grand slam his first swing, and then a 3-run homer second. I mean, oh my gosh, you thought this is it. The guy's going to lead the Magic back, but it was just too much to overcome. The hole we put ourselves in to start the season, even though we did climb all the way back, I think it took a lot out of the Indians, and then just the injuries continued to mount. Carrasco was never able to get back to where he was, or even close to. Kluber never did make it back, and of course the list goes on and on. You've heard me talk about it in the past, all the injuries, and then Kipnis went out again, and it's just one too many. I mean, you can only overcome so much. So look, I'm not disappointed. The Tribe ends the year with 93 wins, I think it was. Most wins by an American League team not to make the playoffs since I think it was 2000 or thereabouts, something like that. I mean, that's insane. So again, as I've been preaching on this thing here over the past couple months, don't hate on the Indians. They didn't make the playoffs, and it stinks. But we've been in the playoffs quite a bit. We can't hate them for it. A lot of roadblocks came up against them this year, and they tried their best to hurdle them and overcome them. They just couldn't quite get over those last couple. But, I mean, it was a tremendous season to even get to 93 wins. I mean, there's teams out there who didn't face little to no injury. And guess what? They won, like 40 or however many games the Tigers. And I mean, there's some terrible, terrible baseball teams out there. So let's not hate on the Indians there. I mean, now with that being said and over with, it's like, where do we go from here? There's a lot of question marks heading into the offseason, and we'll be heading into the start of next season by the time we get to opening day. Are we going to pick up the Corey Kluber option? I mean, I believe we are. Otherwise, we're just going to let the guy go for nothing. I believe they'll pick up the option and at least let that guy come in, start the year. If he can get off and get to a hot start, you got really got 2 decisions to make. One is you're going to ride it out and go all in next year in hopes of winning a World Series, making it back to the World Series again next year. Or if Kluber does come out and show that he's the Kluber we're used to, are you going to move him to a team that needs a starter for hopefully a pretty big haul in return like we do in the past? I think it's probably the latter. I think that's probably what we would do with all the young pitching that we have and how good our pitching staff is. Obviously Carrasco will be a question mark until we know where he's at recovering from his cancer. But if he is on the, then obviously you all know the rest of the staff with, obviously the young guys in Biebs and Savali. I mean, we're going to still have a good rotation coming into that. So, the Kluber thing's going to be up in the air. I mean, Yasiel Puig is probably gone. I doubt he would come back. I don't think they're going to want to pay him what they'd have to pay him to have him stay. So Puig's probably gone. I'm sure Jason Kipnis is probably gone. Then it's like, what about the other guys we're going to have coming back? Bradley Zimmer, who we haven't seen, since he got hurt last season. So is Bradley Zimmer going to be back and be able to, plug himself in and be an actual, contributor for us? Tyler Naquin, are we going to see him next year? And if so, what's he going to be able to give us? Obviously, as I mentioned, the young pitchers are going to be the key. And then it's going to be, what's the ownership going to do? I know they made a heck of a trade last year when we did get rid of, made the big pitching trade and we brought in like Reyes and the other pieces we've brought in. So what are they going to look to next year? Is it going to be, let's move people to get more pieces to keep being kind of good? Or are we going to, let's keep Kluber? We got Frankie still, of course, and all these other guys coming back. And with the young arms there, we're going to make a run at it. And then instead of getting rid of Kluber, you keep him and you maybe make a couple moves for a couple more players here and there, maybe another bat, whatever it is you think you need. And what are we going to do at second base? Are we going to move Hosey to second base? And then what are we going to do at third? A lot of question marks for the Indians. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that all winter long. So right now, of course, it's just probably time to say sayonara to the Indians. Probably be the last time I bring them up until there's any, news that's of any substance to really talk about. Until then, all these questions are just going to be exactly that. They're just going to be questions. So we're just going to have to let them linger until they start to answer them, and then we'll talk about them and see where the Tribe decides to go, and get ready to be in downtown Cleveland for one of the greatest days of the year, which is opening day of baseball season here in Cleveland. It's amazing. If you've never been there, make a point to come this year. I'll be happy to show you around. That being said, that means it's going to be time to move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Basketball season is basically here. I mean, usually wait till this time of the year to even start talking about it. I mean, I'll be honest. I know some names for the Cavs. I don't know a lot about them. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about them. With between the little that we saw Kevin Love last year, and now with these young guys coming in, mainly the big name of note, Darius Garland. Going to be exciting to see what this guy can do, teamed up with Colin Sexton. I think so. The preseason gets started here in like a week and a half, I think it is. And then the first regular season games, October 23rd, I believe that's down in Orlando against the Magic. And then I think the 26th, if I'm not mistaken, is first game here at the brand new, newly renovated and open Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which if you haven't been downtown to see that place yet, you have got to check it out. It looks just fantastic. The place looks amazing. I can't wait to get inside to check it out personally from the inside as well. But just looks great. I mean, one of the best arenas in all of sports right now. If you haven't seen it, again, get downtown, check it out, get online, take a look at it. Just, Dan Gilbert spared no expense, as he hasn't for us in the past, just like when he took us to the 2016 championship when the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead against the Cavs and LeBron. And so, again, looking forward to it. Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, obviously it's a young, exciting core of the Cavs. That's what we're looking forward to seeing, teaming up with Kevin Love and Larry Nance Jr., Tristan Thompson, Jordan Clarkson, the rest of the crew that we're used to seeing down there. But it's going to be interesting to see early on. What does Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, they're going to be playing at the same time. They're going to be sharing time, one on, one off, that sort of thing. I'm hoping to see them on the court together a lot. I want to see them be that next two-guard matchup. Let's let these two guards do it, just like, they had done in Toronto, or they've done in Portland with lots of different, so I think that's what I want to see. But until we at least get to some preseason games and we get into the regular season, there's not a lot to talk about other than we're just speculate pretty much what I just said. So we will start creeping some Cavs talk into the fold here. So now that the Tribe is done, and I won't have any Tribe news to talk about, and I've actually finally had time to start jumping in on college football, and I've been watching the last several weeks. College football will start dominating as well in our discussions moving forward, with Ohio State Buckeyes right now looking like, arguably the best team in the country. I know you can throw in a couple other teams, of course, Alabama, and for those who hate Ohio State, you can throw in whoever you want. I think we're all pretty confident Michigan's not in that conversation, but sorry, I didn't mean to throw that jab in there at some of you that I know won't like that. I do apologize. But Ohio State looking like one of the best teams in the country. Just full all the way around, from Justin Fields to Chase Young on the other side of the ball. My goodness, just this team just looking like they could be a force to be reckoned with coming down to the end here, making it to the playoff. But, of course, on the other end of that, one of the reasons why college football is a little disappointing, especially beginning of the year, you just watch a lot of teams play a lot of teams they're going to beat. So it's not super exciting. It's fun. It's fun for a little bit. It was fun watching that game Saturday night, Buckeyes play Nebraska. It was fun watching the first, what felt like 100 touchdowns in a row. And then it's kind of like, man, it'd be a lot more fun if they were playing, LSU, or if Alabama was playing Clemson today, or Ohio State, or what have you. But so we got to wait a while till we see those big games. But there's always at least a couple I know that are fun to watch, and I watch them. If it's supposed to be a big game, I'm watching. So I have a good time watching any game that's supposed to be good. This Sunday, Saturday, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of those. We were flipping through every game we had that we could get availability on, and it just seemed like they were all pretty much routes from beginning to end going on. So there wasn't a whole lot of football fun that I didn't have anyway that I could find. If I missed one, I apologize. Let me know. But anyway, great to see the Buckeyes doing that. We'll get more into the grand scheme of college football. We're going to have to cover that much more broad than just Ohio State, because with these games where you win by 50, there's not a whole lot to talk about other than we just won by 50 again. So we'll get into that as it goes along. So getting back to something I brought up on a previous podcast, and I had mentioned about things that you believed when you were young, and I had to jump back to this before I forgot. So sorry to kind of just transition to that real quick, but I really got a lot of good feedback from that. And if you remember, I brought up how my wife and I had a really good talk about she believed that things would go on her permanent record, and we got a good kick out of that. So I had somebody give me another good one after they listened. They let me know. I ran into a guy, and he's like, one that I think a lot of people maybe still believe. You can't drive your car with the interior light on. It's against the law. You get in trouble for it. And as soon as you brought that up, I'm like, holy cow, that is absolutely perfect. You nailed it. I believed that. It was something like, I just remember like my mom or whoever telling me when I was young, like, turn that light, you can't have the light on. And it's just something you kind of always believed. And when I was like, yeah, you're right. And I kind of brought that up throughout the week to different people. And so many people either still do believe it or weren't sure, kind of thought, oh, maybe, are you sure it isn't? Because you know why? They believed it at some point. I did some research just to be sure. There is no law. I could not find anything. Matter of fact, I found most things pointing to the opposite of that, saying there is no law. So that was another good one. I'm like, you're right. That's another very broad one that I thought a lot of people would get a kick out of, because I know a lot of you out there have to feel the same way. So I think maybe tomorrow morning on my way to work, since I go in when it's dark, I'll ride the whole way to work with my light on, and we'll see if I make it alive and without getting arrested and put into jail. But so that being said, send me some more of those. Again, you could, if you want, go on Facebook, comment, tweet at me. As I mentioned, at Chuck Talks a Lot. Go to chucktalksalot.com. You can comment right on there. Or you can send me the email to chucktalksalot@gmail.com. And send me some more of these things that you believed when you were younger, or maybe you believed up until right now. I don't know. But I know that was a great one. I thought that was fantastic. And now, even though this is something that happened to me here about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago, and it doesn't really pertain to something I believe, but when I saw it, I'm like, I've got to bring this up because I need to know if anybody else has ever seen this or does this or knows why someone's doing this. So I went to the grocery store, which I don't go to the grocery store a lot, but I do that every once in a while, right? I try to be the nice guy, go to the grocery store, get the groceries. Okay, so I was doing that. Got in line, I'm waiting to pay. So there's a woman in front of me, elderly woman. Probably like in her late 70s, I guess. So I don't mean to offend anyone out there, but late 70s, maybe even 80s. She looked relatively up there, but looked good. Don't get me wrong, looked good for her age. So she, the woman asked her if she wanted paper or plastic, which, okay, that's not that absurd. I've heard that before. And the woman actually said to her, I want you to put the paper bags inside the plastic bags. And as I'm loading my cart onto the belt, behind her stuff, I'm like, what did she just say? Did she say to put her paper? So as I'm unloading my cart, I keep watching this unfold. And sure enough, so this woman now, who, of course, it's a grocery store that has 100 registers and there's like 2 or 3 of them open. So every line is 400 people long. This woman has to take a plastic bag and open it, and then take a paper bag and open it. And then after the paper bag is open, stuff it into the plastic bag, but then yet keep it, in its full shape so she can then fill it with the groceries. So she has to do this, and she probably had to do that to, 8 to 10 bags at least. The lady got a decent amount of groceries. So it took some time, and I was just flabbergasted. First of all, I'd never seen it. And second of all, no matter what I tried to think of, I'm like, why would you do this? Again, I don't go to the grocery store that much, but I do go from time to time. But if I don't go, my wife still goes. And when she comes home, she has 1 million bags of groceries, and they're always in plastic bags. And I carry all of these plastic bags into the house. There's no problem with it. They don't rip, they don't break. I put 20 of them on each hand because, second trips back to the car for more plastic bags are for losers. You don't do that. You make it all in one trip. Even if it's 400 bags, you got 2 in your teeth. You got 1 wrapped around your neck. It doesn't matter. You make it in one trip. It's just rule, right? So the plastic bags are strong enough. They hold up. They do just fine. I could see some people who maybe go with paper because, okay, I want to do paper for environmental reasons. I don't want to use plastic. Okay, sure, I can get behind that. But this lady was just, you want to talk about doubling down. I want to waste paper and plastic all in one, and I just don't even know why. So finally, she does it all. The woman pays. The woman's on her way. As the woman starts to ring me up, I had to ask her. I'm like, well, you work here. You're the grocery professional. I'm not. I'm just a passerby here. I've never seen that before. Can you tell me why that woman wanted you to do that? And she didn't even know. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, do people ask you to do that often? She's like, no. She's like, but that's not the first time. I'm like, wow. So there's others out here. Unless maybe this woman maybe this is her thing. I don't know. But anyway, I need to know if anyone's ever heard of this. And if you have, do you do it? Do you know anyone who does it? And if you do, why do they do it? I'd like to have them on my show. I'll find a way to get them on here. We'll get them on the phone. We'll do something. I need to talk to someone who does this and can explain to me why you would possibly do it. The bags don't need to be stronger. You do, none of it, I can't wrap my head around it. So, double bagging. I've heard double bagging before in a lot of different contexts. But, I've even seen people put 2 paper bags together to make sure the paper bag is strong enough. But once you're going with the plastic bag, just go with the plastic bag. I don't know. Maybe she was protecting her. It wasn't raining out, so that wasn't an option. I don't know if she was like, as if the paper bags were wearing galoshes. I don't know if that pertains, but it doesn't seem like it should. Or, safe shopping, so to speak, by wrapping the paper bag in plastic. Anyway, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole there I don't want to go down. So if you've heard of it, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. Mainly just because I want to understand it. So, because I just can't, and I don't know where to go from here with my life. So anyway, lastly, there's one thing I was going to bring up on the last episode I did, and I didn't. I said, I got to save that for next one. And so even though I'm a little running here on time, I got to get this out. So something that's very important to me is music. I listen to a lot of music, just everyday life to from work when I'm doing things, getting ready. My goodness, before Browns games on Sundays, I listen to music like as if I'm in the stadium. Anyway, there's a song that I like a lot from way back in the day that I listen to it now. I think it's great. I find it fun to listen to. It's a good, fun song. Now, people like to laugh and they want to point fingers. Now, I know there was a time when we were younger, like you couldn't like things that were dorky or poppy because, like I listened to a lot of, heavy metal stuff or, I listened to rap. I listened to a lot of stuff growing up. So like, things like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, even if you liked it, you had to pretend like you didn't, right? Like I wouldn't even give it a chance because that was, oh God, like you can't listen to that. You're a loser. You're a nerd, dork, whatever term you want to use. You're a douche, whatever you want to say. Like it was for girls to listen to. You made fun of it. You laughed at it. It's all you did. Well, I'm 41. I'm well past all of that. I don't care that people look at me funny if I'm drinking a White Claw, because by the way, I like White Claws. They're awesome. You don't like it? Don't care. Don't drink it. You probably drinking something I think is stupid. Don't care. You can drink whatever you want. You. Be your best you. Live your best life. That's what I do. And music has been the same way, because you can't act like now, even if you're a guy like me that wouldn't give those songs a second chance, something from when Bye 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 comes on by NSYNC, you tap your foot, you dance. Backstreet Boys come on, you dance, right? It's just because you know it, you like it, it's catchy. It doesn't matter if it's trash music, that it's pop, hip hop, baloney, doesn't matter. It just makes you feel good, puts you in a good mood. And the hill I'm willing to die on, there's a song that people just love giving me a hard time over, man. And I'm just going to give you a second of it. All right, so you're going to tell me that right now, even a little bit you've heard, the 10 seconds right there, you didn't start tapping your foot? You're in your car, you didn't start tapping on the steering wheel? Come on. I know it's Hanson. I know it's Three Little Kids. I know it's mmmBop, and it's the stupidest name for a song ever. And I know that it's ridiculous. But you're telling me when you hear that song, it don't put you in a good mood. You're not going to turn that up in your car. And if you haven't done it in a long time or you're saying no, try it. When you're leaving work and you're in a bad mood because work stinks and you're on your way home, put it on and crank it up. I dare you. Just do it for me. Right now, you're in your car, turn it up. Listen. Crank it up. Come on. I'm telling you right now, you can't tell me that doesn't get your toe tapping, your finger bumping on the steering wheel. Come on. That is a certified banger, and that is a hill I'm willing to die on. Don't care. I will die on that hill. I'm not saying that it's great. I'm not saying it's Eric Clapton or the Beatles or Elvis. I'm not saying that it's going down in the annals as in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is the song puts you in a good mood. It's feel-good music. It's hip-hop. It's hippie, poppy baloney. I know it. I get it. But, come on. I'm bobbing my head right now. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that, and you do what you want to with it, but I'm going to tell you right now, mmmBop is it's a good song, man. And again, I'll go down with it. Give it a chance. Give it a shot. You probably, if you haven't heard it in 100 years since right then, give it a shot. Next time you're having a bad day, put it on and tell me it'll make you laugh. At least laugh. It'll at least make you laugh because it's so corny, right? So anyway, that being said, mmmBop, certified banger. Tribe, rest in peace till next year. Brownies, first place. Can't wait for Monday night. Gonna be great. Other than that, as always, guys, thanks for listening. Get at me with the emails. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. ChuckTalksALot.com. You can just get at me right there. Till then, guys, be good or be good at it. And as always, don't look down on someone unless you're helping them up.